don't have a bad name. They do with Alex.
Every Thursday night in the mid-1980s, something like a third of all American households tuned in to watch the same family argue about politics, money, and growing up. It was warm, it was funny, and it felt like it would last forever. It didn't. This is the story of Family Ties, 1982. How the 80s sitcom classic fell apart. The idea behind the show? Gary David Goldberg had a simple idea. What if the parents were the ones still clinging to the 1960s and their kids had already moved on?
My idea is to have a 50s party. Funny music and funny skirts. You put grease in your hair and you look really silly. It's neato.
Goldberg created Family Ties based on his own life and the lives of friends he knew who had made the same journey. Former flower children who had settled into suburban houses, steady jobs, and family routines. By the early 1980s, that generation was everywhere, and Ronald Reagan's America was pulling the culture sharply to the right. Goldberg thought the tension between the counterculture of the 1960s and the conservatism of the 1980s could power a television show. He was right, but not quite in the way he expected. He first pitched the concept to CBS, which turned it down. He then brought it to Brandon Tartikoff, the innovative entertainment chief at NBC, who saw the potential and pushed the project forward. The show was set in Columbus, Ohio.
Maybe he has a point. If we didn't have spray paint, everyone would be forced to do graffiti by hand.
Chosen specifically because the Midwest represents the kind of general, middle American setting that neither coastal network nor its audience would instinctively question. Goldberg named the family Keaton, after actress Diane Keaton. The premise placed Stephen and Elise Keaton, married in 1964, now living in suburban Columbus, as the center of the household. Stephen was the station manager of a local public television station. Elise was an architect. They were the kind of people who still had Bob Dylan records in the house and could remember exactly where they were during various moments of the 1960s. Their children had grown up in a different country, casting the show, and the accident that made it. The show was always intended as a vehicle for Meredith Baxter.
I would have, but you were downstairs frisking the paperboy.
I wasn't frisking him, I was checking his ID. He's new on the route.
A respected television actress best known at the time for the NBC drama family. She would be the lead. The parents were the point. Matthew Broderick was Goldberg's first choice to play the eldest son, Alex. Broderick passed. His father was seriously ill at the time, and he didn't want to relocate to Los Angeles. With Broderick out, Goldberg looked at other options, saw an audition tape from a young Canadian actor named Michael J. Fox, and immediately disliked it. He found the performance too smart-alecky, too much. His casting director, Judith Weiner, disagreed strongly enough to push for a second chance. Goldberg agreed, Fox came back in and toned things down slightly, and Goldberg changed his mind.
This doesn't seem right. A bunch of women writing about stuff that should only be discussed in a men's locker room.
There was still another obstacle. NBC Entertainment chief Brandon Tartikoff reportedly doubted whether the casting made physical sense. He didn't think audiences would believe that actors as tall as Meredith Baxter and Michael Gross could have a son as short as Fox. The show moved forward despite those reservations. Fox added the P in Alex P. Keaton on his own as an ad-lib during the audition. The writers loved it and kept it in permanently. The rest of the main cast filled out around Baxter and Fox. Michael Gross was cast as Stephen Keaton. It's a curious fact that Baxter and Gross shared the same birthday, June 21st, 1947. A coincidence that became a small piece of Family Ties trivia. Justine Bateman played Mallory, the fashion-conscious middle daughter.
Alex.
The answer is no.
Oh, why can't you stay with her? You're not doing anything tonight.
Tina Yothers played Jennifer, the youngest and most grounded of the three siblings. The family's neighbor and Mallory's devoted admirer, Skippy Handelman, was played by Mark Price. Family Ties premiered on NBC on September 22, 1982, on Wednesday nights. The early struggle. The first 2 seasons were not what anyone had hoped. The show aired Wednesday nights and found a modest audience, but not the breakout success that NBC needed. For its first year, it finished 56th in the Nielsen ratings, well outside the top tier of network television. There were serious questions about whether the show would survive. The network ordered an initial run, then extended it cautiously.
That is, I buy an...
Deal in the simultaneous sale and purchase of equivalent commodities in order to profit from the price discrepancies.
And the cast and crew lived through the uncertainty that comes with a show that everyone likes, but not enough people are watching. Part of what kept it alive was the strength of the writing. Goldberg had come up through MTM Productions, the production company behind The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Lou Grant. And he brought a standard of scripting to Family Ties that kept the show from feeling like a disposable sitcom even during its slow early run. The show was willing to go to difficult places. It dealt with alcoholism, including Tom Hanks's early guest role as Elise's brother Ned, whose drinking forced the family to confront something they didn't want to see. It tackled teen suicide, racism, eating disorders, and the gap between the version of adult life people expected and the one they actually got.
Well, then whose feet are these?
Ned, please get up now.
All right, good.
It was funnier and warmer than many of its contemporaries, and it earned Humanitas awards, honors given to productions that affirm the dignity of the human person, which said something about what Goldberg was genuinely trying to do. Justine Bateman later told Entertainment Weekly that the show was more focused on getting Humanitas awards than Emmys. The writers, she said, seemed to operate with unusual freedom. There was very little that the network told them they couldn't do. Meanwhile, Fox was building something on screen that nobody had entirely planned for. The character of Alex P. Keaton was funny, but he was also more than funny. He was specific in a way that audiences responded to. A teenager in a 3-piece suit who idolized Richard Nixon, admired William F. Buckley, and genuinely believed in the economic philosophy being pushed from the White House.
I'm her son. There is a bond between us.
In an era when the most popular political figure in America was a former actor who had just won 2 landslide presidential elections, Alex Keaton felt like a portrait of a real generational shift, not a caricature of one. Ronald Reagan, who was watching from the White House, apparently agreed. He publicly declared Family Ties his favorite television series, a piece of information Goldberg was wise enough not to exploit. NBC stuck with the show. In the fall of 1984, for the 3rd season, the network moved it from Wednesdays to Thursdays, placing it at 8:30 p.m. in the slot immediately following a new comedy created by Bill Cosby. That new comedy was The Cosby Show. The Cosby Show changes everything. The Cosby Show premiered on NBC on September 20th, 1984. It became the highest-rated show in America almost immediately.
Tell you, this is the first time I've been on this side in a long, long time.
Nothing on network television could touch it, and every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m., Family Ties was sitting in the slot right after it. The impact was swift and dramatic. Audiences who had just spent half an hour with the Huxtables stayed on the couch and kept watching the Keatons. By the end of the 1984 to 85 season, Family Ties had climbed from near the bottom of the ratings to become the 2nd most watched show in the country, attracting an average of 28.2 million viewers at its peak. Something else happened that same season that pushed Family Ties even further into the national conversation: Back to the Future. The story of how Michael J. Fox ended up in that film is one of the more remarkable scheduling stories in television history.
I'm learning how to be a captain of industry, a power broker, a mover and a shaker.
Eric Stoltz had originally been cast as Marty McFly, but director Robert Zemeckis and producer Steven Spielberg wanted Fox. The problem was that Fox was locked into his Family Ties obligations during the day. Spielberg personally called Gary David Goldberg to ask whether Fox could be allowed to film the movie at night while continuing to shoot the sitcom during the day. Goldberg agreed. For roughly 3 months in early 1985, Fox worked a schedule that began at 7 a.m. on the Family Ties set and didn't end until the early hours of the following morning on the Back to the Future set at Universal. In his 2025 memoir, Future Boy, Fox described being carried from a car to his apartment by his driver after 3 a.m. sessions.
Yo, Andy, listen up. This big guy is a football.
Setting an alarm for 4 hours of sleep before starting again. The film was released in the summer of 1985 and became one of the biggest box office hits of the year. It made Michael J. Fox a movie star almost overnight. Audiences who had been watching Family Ties because they loved it now had an additional reason to stay attached to it. They wanted to see the star of one of the biggest movies of the year on their television every Thursday. The producers made adjustments. Scripts were restructured to give Alex and Fox more screen time and more central storylines. Stephen and Elise Keaton gradually shifted from the leads of the show to the emotional anchor of it. The family dynamic was real and warm.
Coming over, we're gonna watch True Grit on TV. It's his favorite movie.
Are you sure?
But it was increasingly built around what Alex was doing. This shift was noticed. In her memoir, Untied, a memoir of family, fame, and floundering, Meredith Baxter wrote about the tension this created. She and Michael Gross had both been told they were the stars of the series, that the show was built around them. As the seasons wore on and Fox became the undeniable center of everything, that original promise felt increasingly hollow. Baxter acknowledged in the book that Fox deserved the attention, that he was genuinely that good, but she was honest that the situation was difficult. Fox himself was aware of the dynamic. He later declined NBC's offer of special billing that would have placed his name ahead of the rest of the cast.
I spoke too quickly, you know? Without thinking, I came on too strong, I seemed too pushy.
He remained third billed for the entire run of the series, the years when it was the biggest show in America. From roughly 1985 through 1987, Family Ties was as close to untouchable as a sitcom could be on American network television. The show was Ronald Reagan's publicly stated favorite series on television. Reagan, who had spent his own career in Hollywood, expressed his admiration for Family Ties on multiple occasions during his presidency. There were reportedly discussions about him making a cameo appearance in the show. Goldberg and the producers politely declined. The writing continued to be ambitious for a network sitcom. One of the most discussed episodes of the entire series, My Name is Alex, aired in March 1987 and dealt with Alex's grief after a close friend is killed in a car accident.
He's really good at restraining little kids.
The episode was produced in a semi-theatrical style, with Fox performing much of it alone in front of a neutral backdrop, responding to questions from an unseen therapist. It earned Family Ties an Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing in a Comedy Series, and it won Fox his first Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. He won the award again in 1987 and 1988, 3 consecutive years. Guest appearances during this period became notable in their own right. Tom Hanks appeared in 3 episodes across the first 2 seasons, playing Elise Keaton's brother Ned, a character whose struggle with alcoholism provided some of the show's most emotionally serious material. Gina Davis appeared in Season 3. River Phoenix appeared in Season 4. A young Courtney Cox played Lauren Miller, Alex's girlfriend in the final 2 seasons.
Alex, please. Come on, I need your help here. All right, Skip, okay, I'll help you with this one, but
Julia Louis-Dreyfus appeared in season 6. The show was, during its peak, the kind of series that actors wanted to be on. Tracy Pollan played Ellen Reed, Alex's first major girlfriend, in season 4. The relationship between Alex and Ellen, romantic, combative, defined by their entirely different worldviews, became one of the show's most beloved storylines. The song, At This Moment, a 1981 recording by Billy Vera and the Beaters that had originally gone largely unnoticed, was used repeatedly as Alex and Ellen's theme. The exposure on Family Ties sent it to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in January 1987.
Speak for yourself.
How was your day?
Oh, it was nothing special. Got up this morning.
Making it one of the last gold-certified singles in the 45 RPM format. Pollan and Fox also developed a real-life relationship. They married in 1988 and remain married. In the 5th season, the character of baby Andy Keaton was added, played by Brian Bonsall, giving Alex a much younger sibling he immediately tried to mold into a miniature conservative. The addition of a young child to a sitcom that had been running for several years was a standard move for network television at the time. Here it worked better than most, largely because Bonsall was a genuinely charming child actor, and the dynamic between Fox and a toddler version of himself was an easy source of comedy. What started to come apart. The first major structural shift came when A Different World premiered on NBC in the fall of 1987.
I used to love the game so much when I was a boy. Playing a game of chess was like...
A Different World was a spin-off of The Cosby Show, and Bill Cosby, then at the apex of his cultural power, insisted that NBC air it in the 8:30 p.m. slot immediately following his show. That was the slot Family Ties had been occupying and thriving in for 3 seasons. NBC complied. Family Ties was moved from Thursday nights, where it had been the second most watched show in America, to Sunday nights. The effects were immediate and severe. The show dropped from its position near the top of the ratings to 17th place in a single season. The loyal audience that had tuned in every Thursday as part of NBC's dominant block didn't necessarily follow it to a different night. The internal dynamics of the show were also changing.
Alex, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this weekend with him.
Well, look, he's coming all this way.
Fox's film career, Teen Wolf, 1985, Back to the Future, Part 2 and Part 3, Bright Lights, Big City, 1988, was pulling in one direction. The characters, particularly the children, were growing up. Mallory had gone from a teenager in high school to a young woman. Jennifer had grown from a tomboy kid into an adolescent. Alex had gone through high school, college, and graduate school over the course of the series. As Michael Gross later explained to Entertainment Tonight, the producers came to the cast at the end of the 6th season and told them there would only be one more. They were simply running out of story. Alex P. Keaton, who still lived at home with his parents.
Jack, I'm not gonna sleep in the car again. We slept in the car last year for homecoming. I still have ashtray marks on my neck.
Had already been through more life stages than most sitcom characters managed in a decade. There was nowhere left to take him within the framework of the show. Gross described it as a built-in time bomb. A show about a family watching its children grow up will eventually run out of children to grow. The 7th and final season aired on Sunday nights and saw a further ratings decline. The producers and Goldberg decided that a planned, intentional ending was better than watching the show fade out. The finale and what it meant. The series finale of Family Ties aired on May 14, 1989. It was titled Alex Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and it did exactly what the title promised. Alex Keaton was offered a job at a Wall Street brokerage firm in New York City. He accepted. The episode was structured around his goodbyes.
Great sculpture.
Nice balance. I'll take 2.
To each member of his family, to the house he'd grown up in, to the life that had defined 7 seasons of television. The finale drew substantial viewership. It was handled with the same blend of humor and genuine emotion that had characterized the show's best episodes. The writers gave each character a moment that felt true to who they had been across the run of the series. Mallory had grown from a teenager more interested in shopping than school into a more assured and independent young woman. Jennifer, the quiet, grounded one, had become an adolescent navigating a household full of strong personalities. Baby Andy, who had arrived in season 5, was now part of the fabric of the family in a way that had taken some time but had worked.
I mean, the only thing to be less important than a message from one of your friends is a live conversation with one of your friends.
In the final scene, Alex jumped into his father's arms after getting the news about the job. An image that captured in a single moment everything the show had been doing for 7 years. The push and pull between ambition and home, between growing up and staying connected, between wanting more and knowing what you'd be leaving behind. Goldberg publicly stated after the finale that there would be no reunion specials for Family Ties. He felt the show had told its story, the characters had earned their endings, and that was that. He kept his word. The cast reunited publicly 3 times, in 2008 on The Today Show, to promote Goldberg's memoir, Sit, Ubu, Sit, at the 2011 TV Land Awards.
Shall vindicate me. I have photographs of the intersection.
And again in 2015 on The Today Show. But there were no reunion movies, no continuation, no attempt to revive the Keatons in any form. The 2011 TV Land Awards appearance turned out to be the last time Goldberg appeared publicly with the full group. He died in June 2015 at the age of 68. The cast after Family Ties. Michael J. Fox left the show with a film career already in full momentum. Back to the Future. Part 2 was released in 1989, the same year the show ended, and Part 3 followed in 1990. He went on to star in Doc Hollywood, 1991. The Fugitive sequel, The Hard Way, 1991, and eventually transitioned back to television with Spin City in 1996.
No, I thought I was gonna say something, and then I realized I wasn't.
Where he won a Golden Globe for his performance. In 1998, Fox publicly disclosed that he had been diagnosed with early-onset Parkinson's disease in 1991 at age 29. He had kept the diagnosis private for 7 years. He stepped back from acting to focus on his health and on advocacy work through the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, which has since become one of the leading private funders of Parkinson's disease research in the world. He returned to television in various capacities over the years and published 3 memoirs. His most recent, Future Boy, released in 2025, deals extensively with the period of simultaneously filming Family Ties and Back to the Future.
It's behind the door. Hey, I won't lie, it's getting harder.
Meredith Baxter continued acting after the show ended, appearing in dozens of television productions. In 2011, she published her memoir, Untied, which addressed her personal life with more candor than she had previously shared publicly. In it, she discussed the dynamics on the Family Ties set and also came out publicly as a lesbian. She had announced this in a 2009 interview with Matt Lauer on The Today Show, becoming the first high-profile celebrity to come out on that program. She has been married to Nancy Locke since 2013. Michael Gross built an entirely different second career after Family Ties ended. He starred in Tremors in 1990 as Burt Gummer, a gun-obsessed survivalist who became one of the most beloved characters in the long-running franchise, appearing in multiple Tremors sequels and spin-offs across 3 decades.
Off at Steve and Alex is at a Bergman Film Festival with Ellen and her friends.
He has continued acting steadily in film and television. Justine Bateman worked consistently in television and film throughout the 1990s and 2000s. She is the older sister of actor Jason Bateman, who himself became a major television star, most notably on Arrested Development and Ozark. In 2006, she made a cameo appearance on her brother's show. In 2021, she made her feature directorial debut with the film Violet, starring Olivia Munn and Justin Theroux. She also pursued a degree in computer science at UCLA. Tina Yothers stepped away from acting relatively early and built a life largely outside the entertainment industry, raising a family. She has spoken openly about the difficulties of transitioning out of childhood fame.
I really appreciate you driving me down here, but you don't have to wait around. I know you have to get back.
Oh, no, I'm in no hurry. No, I like it here.
She made occasional appearances at reunion events and in documentary contexts. Brian Bonsall, who played Andy Keaton in seasons 5 through 7, had a difficult adult life that included legal troubles in his 20s. He subsequently stepped back from acting and pursued music, becoming a member of the band Sunset Silhouette. Tracy Pollan, who played Ellen Reed and later became Michael J. Fox's wife, stepped back from acting after the birth of their children. She has been a consistent presence in Fox's public life and his advocacy work. Courtney Cox, who played Lauren Miller in the final 2 seasons, went on to one of the most recognizable careers of any Family Ties alumna, landing the role of Monica Geller on Friends in 1994.
Daddy, we're so glad you're home. We love you.
A show that ran for 10 seasons and made her a household name worldwide. Why it still matters. Family Ties ran for 176 episodes across 7 seasons, from September 1982 to May 1989. During its peak years, it was the second most watched show in America, a position it lost not because the audience turned away, but because NBC moved it out of its Thursday night slot to accommodate a more powerful show. A decision driven not by quality, but by the leverage of Bill Cosby's production company. The show that had finished 56th in the ratings in its first year had been pushed off one of the most coveted time slots in television by the sheer commercial force of the decade's biggest star. That's a different kind of falling apart than most shows experience.
I mean it. Come on. God, you two alone?
The generational argument at the center of Family Ties, the one between Stephen and Elise Keaton's 1960s liberalism and Alex's Reagan-era conservatism, has not aged out of relevance. If anything, the basic shape of that argument has become more familiar over the decades, not less. The country keeps producing versions of that same dinner table standoff, and the show captured an early, unusually clear version of it. What the show did at its best was take that argument seriously without letting it win. Neither side was right all the time. The parents weren't naive fossils clinging to a world that had passed, and Alex wasn't a cartoon villain playing at capitalism. The Keaton family disagreed constantly and loved each other without condition, and both of those things were true at the same time.
Yes, it is, because with guys, coolness always prevails.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
That combination, real tension, real warmth, handled with intelligence and care, is harder to write than it looks, and it's why the episodes hold up when you go back and watch them now. For a generation of viewers who grew up watching it on Thursday nights, Family Ties wasn't just entertainment. It was the texture of a specific decade, a specific American moment. The sound of a family working out week by week what it meant to live in a country that was moving faster than anyone had fully anticipated. Goldberg built a show around his own life and the lives of people he knew, set it in the middle of the country, and let it run until there was nothing left to say. That's not how most television ends. It's a rarer thing than it sounds. If you enjoyed this one, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. there's a lot more where this came from.